Welcome to a town where the ground itself holds a terrifying secret, one that should have remained buried forever. Pet Sematary isn't just a horror tale, it's a haunting journey into grief, guilt, and the price we pay when we try to reverse fate. When the dead don't stay dead, and the past claws its way back to life, the living must face something far more sinister than ghosts. This is a chilling story about a cursed burial ground, an unstoppable evil, and a legacy of darkness passed down through generations. Before I begin the story, let me explain the meaning of Pet Sematary. It refers to an animal cemetery where dead animals are buried. In the story, there is a town in the US called Ludlow. And in this town, a pet cemetery exists. Along a difficult path in the middle of a forest lies a particular area of ground. A ground not ordinary at all, but one imbued with an evil power. If a dead animal is buried on this ground, it revives. However, it does not return as it was before. Instead, it comes back twisted and evil because of the dark force at work there. The main character, Jud, explains more about this cursed ground through his novel. He recounts how, in his adulthood, he discovered the truth about the Pet Sematary. According to local legend, this cemetery was created by a tribe long ago with the intention of saving everyone from an evil power that roams the forest. The idea was that if animals were buried there, their souls would protect the living from that malevolent force. Instead, the ground became cursed, forcing the buried, human or animal, to return in a warped, destructive form. The path in the woods leading to the Pet Sematary was eventually closed off so that no one would pass through this evil ground. From this, we understand that while a pet cemetery might seem like a comforting idea, in this story, it is anything but. Jud famously states, "Sometimes dead is better." What prompted him to say this? That, too, will be revealed in the story. Returning to Jud's narrative, when he was young, he married his childhood friend and lived in Ludlow with his family. But now, circumstances force him to leave the town. His father, a habitual smoker who always sat outside the house, insisted he leave for his own safety, even though his mother opposed the idea. An unsettling incident occurred in town the previous night, one that no one openly discusses. The son of the town's owner, a young man named Timmy, went off to fight in a war. He never returned, and his corpse was brought back. His father buried him in the pet cemetery's ground. Soon after, Timmy's body revived, but it was not truly Timmy who returned. Instead, an evil force sent by the cursed ground possessed his body. In a brutal act of madness, this reanimated creature attacked and killed its own dog, sparing no mercy. The destruction it wrought was a grim warning of the evil's power. Because of these events, Jud's father urged him to leave Ludlow, hoping to protect his son from the same dark fate. The next day, as Jud goes out to buy a few things, a photograph slips from his pocket. In it, he sees himself, Timmy, and one of their childhood friends, reminding him of a happier time when they were all close. But now, everything has changed. Meanwhile, Timmy's father walks into a store to buy raw meat. He says it's to feed Timmy, who has returned from the war. But he doesn't tell anyone that the Timmy who came back isn't the same. He's not even human anymore. Later, Jud returns home with the groceries. While having dinner with his parents that night, he casually mentions that Timmy has come back. His father's expression changes slightly. He already knows something is terribly wrong. The next day, Jud and his father decide to attend the town's last ice skating event together. It's a bittersweet moment, a final glimpse of normalcy before their departure. At the skating rink, Jud spots one of his childhood friends. Their eyes meet, but neither says a word. There's too much unspoken tension between them. Suddenly, the town's mayor, sheriff, and an officer arrive, looking anxious and distracted. But when they notice Jud, they try to put on a smile. "We're happy for you," they say. "At least someone is getting out of this town." The next morning, Jud and his wife pack up and say goodbye to his parents. With hope in their hearts, they finally begin their journey out of Ludlow. But fate has other plans. As they drive down the road, a crow slams into their windshield, shattering the glass. Forced to stop, they realize they can't leave just yet. They'll have to stay in town until the car is repaired. As they step outside, they see something eerie: Timmy's dog sitting in the middle of the road. Its condition is horrifying. It looks decayed, unnatural. They soon understand what's happened. After Timmy returned from the dead and killed his own dog, his father must have buried the animal in the same cursed ground. Now the dog is back, but like Timmy, it's not the same. Since Timmy's house is nearby, Jud and his wife decide to return the dog on foot. On the way, we see Jud's childhood friend with his sister. She's creative and used to make animal masks as a hobby. Now she plans to leave town and sell her masks elsewhere. She urges her brother to come with her, but he refuses. He's not ready to leave. Suddenly, they hear strange noises coming from the nearby fields. Curious, they walk toward the sound and discover something disturbing: a patch of sunflowers twisted into a perfect circular shape, just like the cursed ground. Even more bizarre, the plants seem to be bleeding. Jud's friend steps forward to investigate, but stumbles and falls. As he hits the ground, a sharp object pierces his hand, leaving him in pain and panic. Meanwhile, Jud and his wife arrive at Timmy's house. Timmy stands silently inside, staring out at them with a blank expression. Without warning, the dog lunges at Jud's wife, sinking its teeth deep into her arm. She screams in agony, and Jud tries to pull the dog away, yelling at Timmy, "Do something! Help us!" But Timmy just stands there, cold and still. After a long, tense moment, he finally walks out with a gun and shoots. The bullet startles the dog, and it lets go. Timmy, without saying a word, turns around and walks back into the house, taking the dog with him. He offers no apology, no help. Shaken and panicked, Jud rushes his wife to the hospital. The doctors treat her wounds, but she'll need to stay under observation for a few days. The plan to leave Ludlow is now delayed. They're trapped in the town for at least 3 or 4 more days. Jud steps outside and unexpectedly runs into his childhood friend who had come to get a bandage for his injured hand. After days of silence between them, they finally talk. The years melt away as they share memories. And then the topic turns serious. Timmy. They both admit how strange and unsettling Timmy's behavior has been since his return. But why has he changed? Determined to find out, Jud heads back to Timmy's house. What he sees there chills him to the core. Timmy is crouched in the backyard like a wild animal. A pig lies lifeless before him. Timmy is eating its raw meat, blood dripping from his mouth and hands. He doesn't look human anymore. He looks like a beast in human form. Jud freezes, stunned and terrified. But then, gathering his courage, he steps forward. Just as he's about to speak, Timmy's father appears behind him. Jud turns back to Timmy, but he's gone, disappeared as if he was never there. Timmy's father remains silent, avoiding Jud's eyes. Getting no answers, Jud rushes back home. At dinner, he finally opens up to his parents, sharing everything he witnessed. He pleads for the truth. Why is everyone hiding something from him? His mother stands abruptly and leaves the room. As she walks away, Jud notices deep scratches on her legs, like someone or something clawed at her. Turning to his father, Jud demands, "What's happening in this town? Why do you want me to leave?" But his father remains quiet. Meanwhile, Timmy grows more dangerous by the day. He starts killing rats and eating them raw. He begins writing a list, names of the families he plans to destroy. These are the people who still live in the town. First on the list, Jud's family. Second, the mayor. Third, the sheriff. Fourth, the town officer. Fifth, Jud's sister and her friend. As he writes, Timmy's skin starts peeling, shedding like a reptile. Blood seeps from the wounds he inflicts on himself. Using that blood, he draws a circle around the names, a twisted replica of the cursed ground. He intends to kill each of them and bury them in that same evil soil. The evil inside him is in full control now. Timmy visits the female officer and terrifies her with his twisted words and eerie presence. Shaken, she returns to her office and immediately calls the mayor to report Timmy's behavior. The mayor listens carefully, then says what she feared. Timmy must have died in the war, and someone buried him in that ground. That's not Timmy anymore. Everyone in the town knows what the evil ground does. Realizing the danger, the mayor decides to call an emergency meeting to figure out how to stop this nightmare. But before the officer can do anything more, Timmy's demonic dog attacks her from the shadows. Meanwhile, a party is underway at Jud's friend's house. The mood is light, laughter echoing through the rooms. Jud's sister is there, smiling with his friend, hopeful about leaving town soon. But then, Timmy arrives. He stares at them, his expression cold and hollow. "So you're planning to leave?" He sneers. "You won't make it. You'll die here, just like the rest." His words cut through the room like a blade. The party falls silent. The shadow over Ludlow is growing darker. The mayor had called for an emergency meeting. Present were the sheriff, Jud's father, and the mayor himself. Soon, the female officer arrived, her face marked with deep scratches, reminders of the brutal attack by Timmy's dog. She managed to kill the creature, but not without a fight. At the meeting, the truth began to surface. These weren't ordinary town folks. They were brave protectors, descendants of families who had safeguarded the town for generations. Like their parents before them, they were sworn to defend Ludlow from the darkness tied to the evil ground. Now, only one threat remained: Timmy. That night, Jud was restless. He twisted in bed, trapped in a nightmare, until he woke up suddenly, drenched in sweat. Then, through the window, he saw a shadowy figure standing outside. Startled, he grabbed his gun and rushed out to investigate, but no one was there. Only a ladder was placed suspiciously beneath the window. As he walked ahead to search, he found something chilling, a childhood photograph of himself with his 2 best friends, but their faces had been burnt out with a cigarette. As he stared at it, disturbed, a truck suddenly roared past him. He jumped aside just in time to avoid being hit. Breathing heavily, he returned home, only to see his friend climbing in through the window. Jud raised the gun instinctively. "Put the gun down," his friend said quickly. "That wasn't me. It was Timmy. He's watching us." Realizing the truth, Jud lowered the gun. They both knew now. They had to find answers. There was only one place that held the town's secrets: the church. Inside the church was the town's full historical record. Meanwhile, Timmy had reached Jud's sister's mask-making friend. Without warning, he stabbed her. Though she managed to slash his arm with her own knife and ran for her life, Timmy caught her outside and ended her savagely. He buried her in the evil ground. At the church, Jud and his friend met an old priest. The priest handed them a dusty book filled with records, pages of forgotten history. As they flipped through it, a dark tale unraveled. Years ago, a man named Ludlow had arrived in this area with a group of settlers, looking for a place to call home. Once Ludlow found this land, he called for the rest to join him. But by the time they arrived, he had vanished without a trace. His companions soon stumbled upon a cursed area, the evil ground, and terrible things began happening. People left the area in fear. The remaining settlers heard disturbing voices in the woods, suffered horrific nightmares, and felt a dark presence everywhere. Eventually, Ludlow's companions reached the Pet Sematary and continued on to the evil ground. There, they encountered a man from a local tribe who was sitting in silence. When asked about Ludlow, the man said, "He's dead. I warned them, but they still buried him in the evil ground." The man explained that Ludlow had returned not as himself but as a creature of pure evil, and he would remain there forever. A terrifying scene followed. Ludlow, now monstrous and beast-like, was seen tearing apart animals and devouring them. When a man tried to intervene, Ludlow brutally attacked him, ripping him apart and feasting on him with horrifying savagery. Eventually, the settlers were able to destroy Ludlow, but the damage he caused was unforgettable. In his memory, and as a dire warning to future generations, they named the town Ludlow, so that no one would forget what happens when the dead are buried in cursed soil. It's now revealed that the evil ground is not just cursed. It's alive, like a monstrous mouth that keeps consuming bodies, yet its hunger never ends. The eerie voices that echo from the forest always come when it feeds. That's why the path leading to it was sealed long ago. Inside the church records, Jud and his friend find the names of those who first settled the town. These were the ones who awakened the ancient evil by burying Ludlow in that forbidden soil. That was the beginning of everything. And now, those names, the very same names written in Timmy's book, belong to the descendants of Ludlow's original companions. The evil power that couldn't destroy them in the past is now using Timmy to finish what it started. It's forcing him to wipe out every family connected to the ones who once tried to stop it. The mayor, Jud's father, the sheriff, all of them are descendants of Ludlow's settlers. They've known this for years. They've been trying to make things right, correcting the terrible mistake their ancestors made by burying Ludlow in that cursed land. Jud's father possesses an old worn-out diary, passed down from generation to generation, all the way from Jud's great-grandfather. It contains everything: how the curse began, what it feeds on, and most importantly, how it can end. According to the diary, there's only one way to destroy the evil once and for all: by attacking its eyes. Meanwhile, Timmy's father returns home, only to be faced with a horrifying scene. He finds Timmy feasting on a human body, ripping it apart like a wild beast. The gruesome sight breaks him. He realizes that his son is no longer the boy he raised. He has become a vessel of something monstrous. The only option left is to stop him. Jud confronts his father and says, "I know everything now, the truth about this town." His father nods solemnly and takes him to the Pet Sematary. As they stand near the fence, whispers drift through the trees. The voice of the evil still lives there. "Your grandfather's father sealed this path to protect us," Jud's father says, "because this isn't just a curse. It spreads like a disease, and it must be stopped." Back at Jud's friend's house, chaos has struck. He returns to find the house in shambles. His sister is missing. The truth soon becomes clear. Timmy has already killed her and buried her in the evil ground. But just like before, she comes back. She wakes up in the hospital, the same one where Jud's wife is being kept. But something is horribly wrong. Her body is no longer fully human. Her skin peels like dried bark, and her movements are strange, cold, and aggressive. When the nurse goes to call a doctor, Jud's friend's sister brutally kills him and walks into the room. Jud's wife, confused and scared, tries to clean the mud from her feet, only to see her flesh falling apart. She runs to find help, only to stumble upon the doctor's lifeless body with his neck snapped. The terrified nurse rushes to stop her, but is viciously attacked. Blood splatters across Jud's wife's face. By the time Jud arrives, the hospital room is drenched in blood, body parts scattered across the floor, and his wife is missing. One word is smeared in blood on the wall: farm. It's a message: Timmy's house. Jud races to the farmhouse. Everyone has already gathered there. Timmy's father, now fully aware of his son's transformation, has joined their side. "He's not my son anymore," he says grimly. "He needs to be stopped." Together, they form a plan. They will burn the house down with Timmy inside. The mayor and the officers circle around to the far side of the house. The sheriff begins pouring petrol around the exterior. Meanwhile, Jud, his friend, and the others head inside. Their mission is clear: find Jud's wife, find the girl who returned from the evil ground, and find Timmy before it's too late. While everyone was carrying out their mission, Timmy spotted the mayor outside. Without warning, he pulled the mayor up into the darkness with him, then brutally ended his life. Next, he ambushed the officer, leaving her no chance to react. She was gone within seconds. The sheriff was his final target. Timmy grabbed his face and crushed it with horrifying strength, killing him instantly. After finishing them all, Timmy set the house on fire, turning it into a blazing inferno. Inside the burning house, Jud and his friend found his sister. But she was no longer the same. Resurrected by the cursed soil, she had turned into something evil. Without hesitation, she slashed her brother's body, leaving deep wounds. Jud raised his gun to stop her, but his friend begged him not to shoot. After all, she was still his sister. Torn between logic and emotion, Jud threw the gun aside and rushed to hold his injured friend. Just then, Jud's father appeared and, seeing no other option, took the shot himself. As they tended to the wounds of Jud's friend, Jud's father quietly said, "Sometimes, dead is better." But before anyone could react, the sister, still alive, stabbed Jud's father with a sharp object hidden beneath her clothes. Jud's friend, filled with rage and pain, fired a shot that hit her in the eye, the only way to defeat the evil. She collapsed, lifeless. Sadly, Jud's father was already gone too. Timmy's father arrived and quickly helped Jud and his friend escape through the basement. But they didn't realize Timmy was already hiding down there. The basement was like a maze. Timmy had dug several tunnels underground. As Jud wandered into one, he found his wife's locket lying on the ground. His heart sank. She must be here. But it was a trap. They didn't realize it yet and kept moving deeper into the tunnels. Soon they had to split up to cover more ground. Meanwhile, Timmy appeared in front of his father. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. The father looked at his son, and memories of happier times flashed before his eyes. Despite everything, he still saw the child he once raised. He couldn't bring himself to hurt him, but Timmy didn't hesitate. He attacked his father viciously, tearing him apart before vanishing into the shadows once again. When Jud and his friend found the body, they were horrified. Panic set in, and they rushed to get out. But Jud's wife was still trapped somewhere in those tunnels. Timmy had tied her up deep underground. Mud was slowly filling the space around her. With her mouth gagged and limbs bound, she was barely able to breathe. Suddenly, Timmy ambushed Jud's friend, dragging him into another part of the tunnel. There, he cleverly laid a trap. If the friend moved or stood up, sharp wires around him would slice him into pieces. Jud arrived just in time. He slid a gun to his friend and went after Timmy. Timmy was waiting near a muddy pond. As Jud stepped closer, Timmy lunged from the water and dragged him in, attacking him furiously. From a distance, Jud's friend saw what was happening and aimed carefully. He fired. The bullet hit Timmy, right in the eye. Timmy screamed. The power of evil that had possessed him began to break. With that one shot, the curse was finally defeated. Jud's wife, floating in the mud, managed to free herself and reach Jud. They pulled his friend out of the trap, and the nightmare finally ended. Days later, peace returned to the town. Jud and his wife decided to stay. Jud had taken his father's place, and like him, he now sat outside, smoking quietly, watching over the town. They had been through hell, and survived it. Now Jud was ready to face whatever came next. This time, he wouldn't be alone. His wife was with him. As for Jud's friend, he decided to leave. Carrying the masks his sister used to make, he went to fulfill her dream, starting a new life, far from this cursed town, selling handmade masks at a roadside stall. Jud now carried the legacy of those who came before him, standing guard over a town with a dark past. And with his wife beside him, he was ready for anything. And so the story comes to a close, for now. In the end, Pet Sematary leaves us with one chilling truth. Sometimes, dead is better. The evil may have been defeated for now, but the scars it left behind still linger. Jud stands as the town's last line of defense, carrying the heavy burden his ancestors once bore. Though peace has returned, the echoes of the past still whisper through the woods. And if history has taught us anything, it's that in Ludlow, nothing stays buried for long.